someday when they write the history of the stock market, and let's see, is my mic even working? Yes. Someday when they write the history of the stock market, 2021 will be thought of as at least the beginning of the year, as the era of the meme stocks and Wall Street bets, when people banded together as a team to get long and hold a bunch of stocks, and the stocks bucked the trends, bucked reality, and went straight up. Now, people, many of those Wall Street bets people, they don't want to hear about history. They don't want to hear about like old timers. They don't want to hear about experience, because they're the new breed and they're going to show everybody what's up. However, if I look back in my own history and I go back to like the late 90s, I can remember when I could do no wrong. Literally for like over a year, making $5,000 a day trading. And, you know, in a sense, I was doing certain things that worked, and so I just kept doing them. And one of the hardest things as a trader is to learn how to switch gears when stuff doesn't work. And in this case, the buy and hold thing, or let's all jump on board and take a ride to the upside thing in GME, GameStop, and to a lesser extent also in AMC, has stopped working, and people have gotten jammed up. And let's take a look at some charts for me to kind of illustrate this to you here. If we look and we zoom in on some of these charts, if we look at these volume spikes, you see all the time people jumping in all together, and you'll see a volume spike as one of these stocks moves higher, and then these rallies where everybody jumps in have continued to fail over and over and over again in the last couple weeks. But people still try it. If you look at GameStop, for example, coming into today's session, the stock rallied all the way up almost, it was up 217 before the open today. And in fact, right after the close, immediately it was bid. We had a down day yesterday, and only down a few points, but immediately after the close, stock was bid. It closed 212 and change, and it was 213 bid out, and a small number of buyers were bidding it up into the open today. And the reason they're doing this is because it worked for a while. Jumping in and just loading up, everybody just jumped in together, and it became this force that couldn't be reckoned with by the liquidity providers and the market makers. They would just get run over, and the stock would move higher. And in fact, when you look at the daily trading in a lot of these issues, let's look at GME here, you can see the volume always pops on these up moves. It's like a bunch of people jump in on an up move. You can see one right, let me click this over. You can see one right here. There's an up move, a volume spike, and the stock moves higher. But they keep getting rejected. Here you can see stock moves up on a big volume spike, and then it's back down again. Now, this has happened day after day in a row here. And it's gotten kind of ugly because people are only going to do this so many times before they start to realize that this is not working. You can see another one right here, Tuesday on the open, huge volume spike, and then it just gets rejected, right? Now, it came back towards the end of the day, but, and you can see if you close up on a lot of these, you see these spikes. Here's one on the open here on Thursday, and then it gets rejected. Now, everybody who bought this stock on Thursday, by the close, was losing money. And so it doesn't matter how many times you say diamond hands and I'm holding and hold no matter what. When you buy a stock paying $225 and it goes right in your face immediately, the next time you're a little bit less likely to go and jump in with these people when everybody buys it, right? That's just human nature. And despite the cult of Wall Street bets, human nature is going to rear its ugly head at some point. And, if we look at GameStop stock over the last 10 days, we're going sideways here, right? Sideways to down. If we go to 20 days, ever since that earnings, it really hasn't been able to gain ground. And, my challenge to people is, now I'm not immune to what's happened to a lot of people here. It's happened to me in my career before too. People continue to think that if they jump on the train here, it's going to rally. But a tone has shifted, right? There's a tone before earnings here where stuff's going up, and then after earnings so far, the tone is not up, right? And I think the biggest bull in the world can recognize that right there. But it's incredibly difficult to switch gears. And I, as a trader, am very bad at switching gears. My friend Andrew G is a lot better at recognizing a trend shift and switching gears. For me, when my strategy doesn't work, what I usually do is I lay off until it starts working again, as opposed to switching gears. Now, I've been short this for a while, and there might be a time when we kind of reach a bottom that I would need to recognize to switch gears and sort of get out of the trade or something like that. But I don't think we're at that point right now. The other thing that's really funny, or at least I find humorous, is, I came in and made a video earlier this week saying a real pause in the VIX. Maybe the VIX has reached a kind of a plateau point, and immediately after that video came out, the VIX moved lower, of course, right? And according to my dad, who's not famously, I'm not a famous person, so at least known to me as my dad's like a Fox News Republican guy. His analysis of the VIX yesterday was that the Republicans caved to the Democrats on this infrastructure bill, and that's why the VIX moved lower. But my feeling is usually that it's hard to tell in the moment what is the reasons behind a market move, but it becomes clearer over time usually. But regardless of what the reasoning is, the VIX has moved lower, and we did see UVXY blow through that 30 strike again. Now 28.47 bid at 28.48. Just to go over GameStop, I switched my position to like a calendar yesterday for a bit, and then which was basically taking off my short and just having a more neutral approach. I was still a little bit short, but it was more of a neutral approach. It was like the August, I was long the August 220 put, and I sold one of these July months, the 200 put against it, right? But then I decided, well, no, I want to maintain my short delta, and I switched back to being just straight up short by being long put spread. So I own the 21 August 200, the 21 August 220 200 put spread. Let me pull this up so you can see this a little bit better here. I'm just long put verticals here. You can see I'm long the 220 put, and I'm short the 200. Let me restate this. I am long the 220 put and the 200 put, and I'm short the 190 put. So long some put verticals out here with 56 days to go, looking for this to move below 190. And we've got, it doesn't seem like we've had that big of a move, because the reason for that, over the last 2 days, we have had big moves, but it doesn't seem like it because yesterday we started the day up and we ended down. So we went way up to 227, then we lost all our gains and went negative. We were only negative a couple bucks, but we were very negative off the high of the day. Today, we'll see what happens. Very low volume in GameStop so far, less than 1 million shares traded, and so less than 1 million shares traded, take it with a grain of salt, right? That means that significant buyer comes in, and we could pop to be up on the day in moments. So not reading a whole lot into this. However, and I'm not a big chart guy, but just for the most layman approach to looking at charts, you can see that this appears to be grinding lower, right? This is what I would call this chart a stock that's grinding lower. And my experience back in 2002, watching tech stocks just grind lower, it's more painful when you're long stuff to have this slow grind down, right, than a big down move, because a real big down move a lot of times would be considered capitulation, right? Everybody gives up on it. It goes way down, and then you get this pop after that actually can turn into a rally. Now, that's more of a that kind of thing is more likely to happen in actually a real stock. GameStop is a company that rents video games, and it's trying to redefine itself right now, but it's not it's not the best company to invest in if you're looking for an investment, right? It's a risky proposition. Maybe they can reinvent themselves, but there's plenty of companies out there who already have a good core business that's growing, that is a better place to park your money than GameStop, which is artificially inflated because of all of the hype, and B, has to redefine itself if it's going to be successful, right? Because the business that it started in a year ago, renting video games, is in a brick and mortar type situation, is not a viable business anymore, and is quickly going out of style. Same thing with AMC. AMC, which I was not the brightest guy. I'm not the brightest guy in many ways, and for a period of time, I thought AMC was like behind The Walking Dead, right? I was like, oh, wow, AMC, The Walking Dead. I love The Walking Dead. Maybe I should buy AMC. No, that's AMCX, folks, not AMC, right? AMCX is AMC Networks, right? There's that one right there. No, AMC is movies chains, right? And once again, if you had your choice of any business in the world to invest in, which basically investors do, would you choose a company that runs movie theaters in malls? Now, of course, there's positive things about this company. Yes, they were able to raise money by selling shares, right? But that's just taking someone else's money and using it. Same with GME. They were this rally in their price has enabled them to get out of debt and to have money to try to reinvent themselves. But they still have to go through the process of reinventing themselves and try to be successful. Now, people are very excited about NFTs. I don't like NFTs. I think it's ridiculous to spend a bunch of money on this virtual stuff. However, obviously, NFTs have been a craze, have been a place where a lot of money has changed hands recently. But GME is not automatically going to be the leader in NFTs when there's already established firms out there, right? Yes, it's interesting they're going into a growth industry, but that doesn't mean that they've won the battle. And, maybe NFTs, we don't know. Maybe the trend doesn't continue. Maybe it's just it's like Crocs. It's just a phase, and then it disappears. B, who's to say that GME is going to become the leader in a new industry just because they're entering it, right? That's a pretty big given. So anyway, I am still of the opinion that these are ridiculous and that they will find a level much lower than here once kind of reality sets in. And I know a lot of people do not agree with me on this, but this is my channel, and I'm going to give my ideas. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. We don't have to see eye to eye for you to watch me, and maybe you can think about what I have to say, and it will have some very small influence on your thinking moving forward. But, once again, in my mind, GME, AMC, not worth even half their prices right now. Now, there's certainly an argument to be made. Whatever the market price of something is, that's what it's worth right now, and I certainly agree with that. But I think prices are going to move lower. I don't think there's going to be some point where a massive amount of people give up on these issues. I don't think we're close to that now. The volume's been very small, but at some point, where's the price that this moves below that people are going to give up on it? Well, it depends on, in a sense, where they got in on it. Where did you buy it? Where are you going to get out? I think the average price people bought this is obviously moving up over time as the stock stays in this certain range above 200. The more times that the more days that happen, like the last couple of weeks, where people buy this and then it goes against them, there's there's a certain percentage of those people who, when it gets back to that price, are going to sell it. So it becomes harder for this to move higher the more times we get this back and forth. Anyway, so I'm not going to pretend that I know the future. I certainly don't. But we will see what happens moving forward. Once again, VIX 15 and change. We will see if we get back to a level of pre-pandemic. We're almost there, right? If we look back in time before the pandemic, we weren't that far from this level that we're at right now. So let's go to the 3-year here, and we can see, pre-pandemic, we were bouncing around. Why does my screen keep going off here? All right, let me move this up one more time. Levels before the pandemic, we were in this range between, 11.5 and 18, let's say. Well, right now we're 15, right? So we're not that far off, but we still are on a downslope off the pandemic. So we'll see where that downslope ends. A lot of times when we're in a trend, it goes farther than you think it's going to. So I wouldn't be of the mind to back up the truck anywhere here. Picking a bottom is, it's not as dramatic as catching a falling knife, but there certainly is that sort of aspect going on here. So I would be careful when you see people saying, oh, if Vol gets a 15, I'm loading up the truck. The funniest thing about reading some of these feeds is the things that new traders are most proud of are the things that old traders cringe about the most. For example, when someone says, I'm not selling a share no matter what, saying never in the stock market is a no-no. When people say that they are all in, that's a no-no in the stock market, because what we like to do is we like to scale, right? We always want to have more bullets so that if prices improve, we can continue to take advantage of that, right? So, for example, if we are a seller of volatility, if volatility is 100, we want to have bullets if it gets to 200 or 500 or 1,000 volatility, and we actually did see 1,000 vol, right, in some of these issues a while back. We want to still have bullets to sell more, right? So you never want to be all in anything, and the things that the Wall Street Bets new traders are most proud of are the things that older traders cringe the most for due to experience. And, can you switch gears? It seems apparent. If we look at the chart here of GME, it looks like we're still in an uptrend. However, if you've bought the stock in the last month, you are likely underwater, right? Here's 20 days. So the average price of this stock in the last month, if you bought it, you're underwater. And people saying, well, I'm going to hold it because it's going down, but then it's going to go back to 20,000 or something. My full-on belief is that we won't hit that first squeeze number again, right? When that first squeeze, we got to 483 in this stock, and a lot of that was due just to the fact that there was that huge short interest. I think it was quoted at 130%. I don't see it getting back to that price unless the company does completely redefine itself, has very positive earnings for a number of years, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. And I would suggest to people who've made money on the way up here, maybe realize at least a little bit of your gain, take a little bit of profit, right? Why not? It seems prudent. Anyway, so that's where we are on that one. And that's where I are on my thinking on this sort of issues. Bitcoin and other coins. Let's see. So we've got, I like to call it doggy coin, 26 cents. It's come back a little bit. Bitcoin, 33,000. Once again, I'm not an expert on these. I don't have any insight that other people don't have. I'm an expert at options pricing, but I'm not an expert at this stuff. So watch someone else to ask about. this kind of stuff. I don't want to just talk out my ass. So there we have it. Looking to continue to improve on my gains in GME. Very excited. Looks like we could get back through 200, which would be awesome. We bounced off of 200 a couple days ago, but it looks like we could get back there again. There's that 197 number. You can see we're getting closer to it. It would be nice if we could roll through 200 at some point today, but who knows what will happen. I can't read the future any more than you can, but I do appreciate you watching me today. And please like and subscribe and join me on Patreon or become a member. I really appreciate your support. And for one man's honest view of the market, here you go. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the Short File Show Live. What's up, Brent?